Kevin Symes, CYMES had some things here. This is going back a few days, of course. Um, Kevin said, why take the treasure from Wyoming to New Mexico by rental car? Speaking for myself, I was going to do that if I had found it in Montana. Probably not far from, well, I don't know. But anyway, in Montana. I was just going to go to the rental car agency of the car I was renting and just, you know, just say I'm going to need it for a couple more days and I'm going to drive it down to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and just change the, the payment of whatever it was going to cost and just keep the car and drive down to Santa Fe with the treasure in the car. I didn't think anything of that. And then I was actually going to drive back to here in South Carolina with the same car. That's all. Just keep the rental car you have and just keep on trucking. Why leave it in Santa Fe, New Mexico? I don't know. See, for that is something that does make Jack very different to me to understand, because he does not apparently really care to sit and go through the treasure, even though Forrest obviously did from the pictures, right? Forrest went through the treasure. So Jack just is kind of very, it's kind of like I found the treasure. It's a almost like a monetary possession, and I want to keep. I guess he didn't open the bio, the little jar with the bio in it or any of that. Didn't do that. He said, I want to keep that so it'll keep its monetary value. And he's just content to put it in a vault, not Forrest Fenn's vault, not in the Fenn estate, but just put it in a vault down there in Santa Fe and leave it there, and I guess go back to Michigan or wherever he lives. I don't know. That's just the way he does things. He speaks about this, and I wish I had figured this out a lot earlier, possibly in my life. Some of these things he would read about how to kind of get your mind right, as it were, about how to watch things objectively and divorce, kind of dissociate. He talks about the group thing of the Forrest Fenn community, which I certainly fell into. Talks about the keyword thing that it wasn't even that big a deal to him, but people are constantly the keyword, the keyword, the keyword. He just divorced himself from all that, and we'll talk about it. Why announce your name to the world in the last month before the tax season? Well, as we know, this brings up a good subject. Jack said that he announced his name to the world because of Barb Andersen's lawsuit. Now, I personally have two thoughts about that. One is that could be true, that Jack feels that way. But on the other hand, Jack was already talking to a reporter. Well, no, the lawsuit would have existed before the reporter. A reporter from outside online was talking to Jack. And so it wasn't like Jack was really being totally careful, about his anonymity. He was talking to a reporter of all people. He was talking to the very person you shouldn't. But this guy was able to figure out who Jack was and email him. And I guess Jack at that point figured out, well, if you're able to figure it out, who I am, I might as well talk to you. Because this reporter did it in a really clever way. Through the Medium article, this reporter was able to use a part of the program where if you see a mistake, you can actually contact the writer of the Medium article. And so when he figured that out, he went, oh my God, this is actually the author, which is this guy Jack. So he contacted him, and then Jack finally said, okay, yeah, it's me, and let's talk. I don't know. I guess that's not really Jack's fault. It may not have been something he was aware of, that there was that little quirk about the Medium page that people could find out who you are through finding mistakes in the article that you want to report. And but regardless, he felt that Barb Andersen's lawsuit, well, no, I guess it was actually the judge was saying that they were going to have to give up the name. Shiloh referred to that also in the article that Shiloh put out, I think. So Jack felt he was going to have to give up his name because of the Barb Andersen lawsuit. Now, my legal friend, I asked him, I said, do you have a problem with me saying my legal friend? Because I've got a legal friend. He's a retired attorney. He's a very smart guy, very smart guy. Very smart guy. And I was thinking of Scarface, you know, let me introduce you to my little friend. I was thinking, let me introduce you to my legal friend. Never mind. So Wyatt, my legal friend, said, why didn't Jack just go to the judge and get his name sealed? Because of all the things that had happened to the Fenn estate, all the stalkers, people breaking into their place, having to hold them at gunpoint, etc. A lot of nasty stuff happened. Troy Barlow just sent me a link about showing a guy threatening a gypsy's kiss, for God's sakes. It's really mental guy. He's big. They're all big. He's sitting in his car. He's homeless, disabled vet, and he's talking about going after Toby for some intended, unintended, or intended slight that he was bringing up all these people. I think Obama was in there and stuff, you know. So, you know, this thing for the people who get to be known in the public really draws out some wackos. Hope I don't suddenly I've seen a video someone sends me, Eric, and here's a guy, there, Johnson guy, I'm gonna kill his ass. Anyway, my legal friend said, why didn't you just go to the judge and say, I want my name sealed because I'm going to be in danger? We already know how much Jack was worried about being in danger. So I don't know, maybe more than once my legal friend has said he doesn't have a very good attorney. So he just thought that was kind of a no-brainer why he didn't wasn't able to keep his name sealed. All right. Someone was saying this about, Kevin here is saying it, but other people have said it. This whole thing with Forrest Fenn not wanting the location known, really not wanting it known. Jack saying that's kind of almost the main reason that he wants to not give up the location, is he knows how much it meant to Forrest Fenn that the location be kept pristine, because it really was the place he wanted to die. We're always talking about the people that are in the know about this always seem to make that distinction. The place where he wanted to die rather than the treasure chest. This is something I was always off on. I was always just thinking, where's that chest? Where's that chest? People who seem to be closer to Fenn, I'll talk about that later with the Amy Seeks video with Dale and Cynthia Meacham. They're always kind of like, they talk about it, some people that talked about the place Fenn wanted to die. And of course that was Jack's thing. He figured out where Forrest Fenn wanted to die. And then figured out the blaze, and then figured out the treasure, which is exactly what Fenn had been saying the whole time. But I was always just in that groupthink thing of trying to find out where the treasure is. I was aware of where he wanted to die, was part of it, but I had it all jumbled together. So again, that's why I didn't find it, and Jack Stuef found it. What Kevin asked, though, is, didn't it seem like Forrest Fenn didn't really care about the location? Because at one time, Forrest said publicly, people will be surprised when they learn where the treasure was. He says it didn't look like he intended it to be a secret. Yeah, I agree. Fenn said things like that. When the searchers all find out after it's found where it was, they're going to be surprised. Well, he didn't say, gosh, I'm going to make sure it's never revealed, so they'll never know anyway. I don't know, folks. He was only human. Like Jack learned to do. Sometimes Fenn makes statements that just really don't mean anything more than they're in the moment. And that's all there is to it. I really, Luck Ryder. Who the hell is that cat? Wow, just a big ass cat that ran across the road outside my condominium. Anyway, and of course I got my kitties here on guard duty, totally oblivious. So Luck Ryder, who went down and met if you don't know Luck Ryder, she has a page, and I was on it for a while and I dropped off, and I made a point of saying, no, don't take it personally. I'm just not. There's really nothing more to do. It's over. I mean, there's really nothing more to do with pages because everyone just wants to keep talking about solves or their solves or where do you think it is or was when nobody knows, and or reminiscing about Forrest Fenn. Now, in her reminiscences, and that's why I dropped off her page. I think I'm only on one page now. Might be on Jenny Kyle's. But anyway, the point is, she said when she was down there and she met Forrest Fenn and Cynthia Meacham, I think she had a friend with her, she said Forrest Fenn and Cynthia Meacham said in no uncertain terms, we will never let them know the solve. We will never, I guess they told Luck, we will never let you know the solve. The location of the solve will never be revealed. Could that be a legal thing? They were so intent on it, it almost sounds like people who, rather than just caring about the pristine nature of the place, for them to be that intense as Luck Ryder made it sound, and she's got it, she writes about it on her page. I'll probably put the link to her page on there, on mine too. Because it's a good story. But why are they so intent to solve this? Why are they so intent the location is not known? It could be the pristine nature of the place Fenn wanted to maintain, or it could be it's legal. Could be that it is on federal property. Could be it is on private property. I mean, there are only so many places it can be, right? Who doesn't suspect it's probably on federal land? BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. I mean, how could it not be? But I don't know. It's just a thought. Kevin says something that other people who have talked to Jack in emails have told me. I think Jack did retrieve the chest, but I don't think he knows the solution. Now, Jack Stuef has said Kevin says, I think Jack did retrieve the chest, but I don't think he knows the solution. Jack Stuef has said he was not a poem purist, but he has also said he knows the clues in the poem would get you to the location. Jack was very much hung up on the concept of, which worked, of getting into Fenn's head, of reading everything Fenn said, everything Fenn wrote about the treasure. Jack Stuef worked really hard. He talks about some guy who said the art of good research is to turn every page, never skip a page. I'm paraphrasing. Never skip a page and read every word. And that's work, and I didn't do that. I would read enough to get an aha moment, many, many, many minuscule aha moments, and then I might skip ahead a little, looking for something to confirm what I just read. Big mistake. I mean, I'm thinking back on the way I would read the stuff. I didn't read everything I could find. I didn't turn every page, and I didn't read every word. That is really meticulous research. And that's what Jack Stuef did. And if you didn't do that, if you did not read every page, every word of everything you could find, no matter how boring or unrelated to the find it may seem at the moment, you didn't do the work Jack Stuef did, and I didn't do that, and that's one of the reasons Jack Stuef found it, and I didn't, and I'm sure many others didn't. I'm skipping things that I don't even think are relevant at this point. Kevin says, he thinks we're owed the solution. I'll tell you this, for Jack Stuef to not give up the location and marry the clues in the poem to the location, hence the solution. Jack must know he's giving up a book that could be incredible. I mean, I don't know how you could really write much of a book that people would want to read, a searcher community especially, which would probably be virtually the only people that would want to read the book anyway, where you don't tie things together. I mean, just kind of saying, well, I kind of knew, I read from this and I put that together and, this and that and something Forrest said, but I can't really, that kind of, I don't think it's going to get him anywhere. So Jack is being very sincere again. I think the guy's a very sincere guy. I went back and looked at some of his stuff from when he was very young, and he was on in the Onion, and he did some things when he was a college student. He kind of got in trouble and stuff, and he seemed kind of callous in the way he did things, and his sense of humor was kind of callous, and he got in trouble for that. And he was a very liberal person. And then I remembered, Eric, when you were college age, you were a pretty liberal guy, and you weren't doing what Jack was doing, but you were light years from where you are now. So I just blew it all off and thought, this is just a guy who was out there. I'm not going to judge him anyway about anything, but I think Jack, what I was going to say is I think Jack is turning out to be a pretty honorable guy. I mean, a very moralistic person, a very moral person. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. And for him not to give up the solution, the location married to the clues in the poem, so we all understand how he got to that location, man, that's a good book deal. That's a good documentary. That's some good stuff. Because I don't think anything's going to sell if it doesn't eventually end up with the solve, right? I just don't think it is. So he seems to be convinced that the chest alone will pay off his bills, and he's going to get into stocks and stuff. Something I do on, if you're smart enough to get those stocks in a position where you're getting some nice dividends every few months, it's kind of nice to have stocks. Don't know what the future is with the way our country's going. It's terrifying the way our economy is going. I mean, with the debt, it's just terrifying to me. We now actually we're actually financing our debt. And we're printing a lot of money, and it's scary, but I don't want to get into that. So anyway, that's what Jack may get into, and maybe he feels between us. Oh, and he said he is going to make a part of the chest is going to be there for the public to buy. So I think he has heard some of us say, wouldn't it be nice if Jack hears about this? And maybe he's heard this previously. Wouldn't it be nice if Jack made individual coins that were somewhat within the realm of affordability for most of us? Individual coins from the chest available at auction or for sale at some price, or for sale at some price. That would be cool, wouldn't it? So you could have your own little piece of the treasure. He's the kind of guy I almost think he might do that. Obviously, he's going to make enough money to pay off his bills and stuff, his student loans, his medical loans, student loans for me to medical school, which he's now decided not to be in. So, what else do we have? Oh, that was some of I was responding to him with some of my just a silly thought. I'm reading here something that I don't know if it's that mysterious anymore either. I've had a couple of few people that were emailing me that were emailing Fenn when the fine was announced, and they said Fenn kind of got weird. One person, Fenn quit emailing, and one other person, two other people, one other person specifically said that Fenn became very careful and started kind of talking around subjects like he didn't want to talk about him anymore. And this particular person seemed to think that he was acting kind of hinky. Remember that word? Kind of a weird word. Just acting kind of paranoid. And again, was that really happening? Maybe just the fact that it was found, Fenn just became very concerned about the fact they may be investigated for the most innocuous reasons by different people. Why they'd be looking at his emails, I don't know. But he just didn't, he just apparently, and then of course he died. And see, that's another thing. When Fenn died, it was right there in the middle of everything, and that was strange. And now I look back and I think, who knows what was going on in Forrest's mind. I mean, this was the great thing that kept him going. The man was 90 years old, about to be 90. And, the great saga that had kept him going for 10 years and kind of kept him in the loop. And suddenly some young, smart guy comes along and figures it all out. Thank you, Tober. Thank you, Tober. All right, folks, it's time to move on to part 3, I believe. All right, just a second.